Hey guys, today we are giving you our Week 12 fantasy football starters, streamers, and fades. We're here to help you make all the right decisions on who you should have in your lineup, who you need to have on the bench, and who can help you in a pinch. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right meow.
Hit that drop. Hey everyone, I am Justin, and that is Kyle, and this is the Fantasy Football Upside. Yeah, we're already laughing, guys. We're already laughing. Thank you very much for dropping by our Fantasy Football Podcast and YouTube channel. We appreciate it. Kyle,
Yeah.
Week 12 is here, man.
What week you kind of cut out?
Week 12 is here.
There you go.
And we are here to help you win that
championship.
And today we're hitting you with the starts of the week, streamers of the week, and fades of the week. Check out our waiver wire pickups for week 12, as well as our Thursday football start sit matchups. Click the link in the corner above and also in the description below. Quick note on that Thursday game episode, the Ravens and Steelers game has been moved to Sunday. So
Yeah.
definitely make sure you make your decisions wisely on that.
Not only that, you got to get yourself covered, guys. You need to
Yeah.
check out the waiver wire episode. We'll give you a couple names about players that you might consider covering yourself. If you've got Big Ben or Lamar Jackson, you need to have a plan because you never know what's going to happen. It's just not looking good right now. There's a lot of positive tests going on those teams, or on Baltimore at least. All right, so make sure that you click the subscribe button as well as the bell so you're notified every time that we upload this podcast. We upload it 5 days a week during the season, and we still got several weeks here before we're done with the season, guys. So make sure you're subscribed and that you've clicked the bell. Double check the waiver wire so that you see what got dropped after your waivers process. That's a very important aspect of operating on the waiver wire in your league so that you can catch anything that might have fallen to the waiver wire that's valuable, because some people make bad decisions. You make good decisions. You listen to us. So we already know that, right? Make sure you also throw some questions down below. We're always asking, because we're here all season long to help you win that championship. We want to help you get there. We want to help you dominate your league and seriously, dominate it so badly or so amazingly that you make other people actually I'm going to quit. I'm just no good at this. And that dude, he's really good at this. So that's why we're here. We want to help you demoralize the rest of your league. So let's dive in headfirst into the shallow end and get through these top starts, streamers, and fades. Justin, I think let's see here. I'll start us off with running back.
Before we do that real quick,
Sure.
You just talked about dominating teams, dominating people. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, gobble, gobble, gobble.
Gobble.
Dominate the turkey. Right there you go. As a nation, we do dominate the turkey. I mean, we
do
absolutely dominate the turkey.
Go ahead and hit me with the running back start of the week off.
All right. He is no turkey himself. This is Dalvin Cook. He is turning into, I saw it actually, a reference where they said he's turning into the Travis Kelce of the running back position, meaning that he has so far separated himself from everyone else that on a week-to-week basis, there's just no question. He's the guy. He's the start of the week, and that's Dalvin Cook versus Carolina. Carolina is allowing the 6th most fantasy points to the running back this year. I will say, though, that I did like Chubb's matchup this week. He's going against Jacksonville, and so I did waffle and vacillate a little bit. Do I go with him? I mean, I keep pushing Cook out there hey, he's the running back, guys, right? He's the one you should be starting if you've got him. But then I was like, I like Chubb a lot. But then I was like, but he's got Hunt, and Hunt kind of mitigates the chances of Chubb being the overall running back one in any particular week, even with a great matchup. So Cook is the only show in town in Minnesota, and there isn't much of a threat to his supremacy in the offense right now in any capacity. I mean, Adam Thielen is doing okay, but he's doing okay. Justin Jefferson,
he's on the COVID IR list too for Adam Thielen. So
And I mean, we all know Kirk Cousins isn't going to throw the lights out at the stadium. So it is the Dalvin Cook show, and Gary Kubiak is more than happy to continue down that path. That's where I'm at. I think that Dalvin Cook's the guy. He's going to get you RB1 possibly this week. So what do you have at wide receiver?
Wide receiver, I have DK Metcalf going against the Philadelphia Eagles. Metcalf, man, we kind of missed on this one just a little bit. Start of the season, we thought he was going to be good. We didn't think it was going to be this good.
Yeah.
I mean, and when I say this good, we're at 9 touchdowns in 10 games so far, Kyle, for DK this season, and he's number 3 in the league right now in total points at wide
It helps
receiver.
when your team doesn't have a pass defense at all. They just constantly have to throw the ball. And a team that only wants to play defense and run the ball, that's a problem. So
So it's been working well for fantasy football reasons if you have a DK Metcalf ownership out there. But the Eagles give up the 12th most points to opposing wide receivers.
you can call them the giggles.
The giggles. Gobble, gobble, giggle, giggle. Darius Slay may pose a little bit of an issue for DK, but I think he's going to be covering both him and Tyler Lockett here or there, not at the same time, of course. But he's not.
I don't know. They might try it. It is the Eagles.
That's true. I mean, he's about the only thing back there in the secondary that's
Yeah.
worth a dang. So they may try for sure. But that's who I got, man. I think this could be a game where it's going to be a lot of passing.
Yeah.
Just overall a lot of passing because they want to run the ball in Seattle. It's just who's going to be able to run it, who's left.
I mean, Carson's back this week. He is back. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay, so I gave you the Travis Kelce of the running back position. Now I'm going to give you the Travis Kelce of the tight end position because that's who I picked, is Travis Kelce of the tight end position. He's going up against Tampa Bay. There is no other option at tight end for start of the week other than Travis Kelce, period. There's nobody who can stop him. There's nobody who can cover him. And there's nobody else that you can rely on in the tight end role.
We might just copy and paste for the
might for the rest of the season. That might be all that we do. Just like re-upload this video. He's had 3 weeks in a row over 100 yards, and the last 2 have been convincingly over 100 yards. Like the first week of those 3 was like 109, and then it was like 127, then 153. It's just going to continue to go up, I guess. I mean, a tight end with 150 plus yards is ridiculous. Now toss in that he's had 2 touchdowns in that span, and you kind of start thinking, that's not that bad.
Not bad.
And then you understand why he's really the only option at tight end. I've seen people saying like, I'm going to draft Travis Kelce 1 overall next year because tight end is just a wasteland other than that.
Mm-hmm.
So fire him up in a decent matchup and just watch Patrick Mahomes find him down the middle of the field repeatedly this week.
Just constantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What do you got at QB?
QB, by the way, we're going to have a nice little one of our favorite drops coming up here, but it's Josh Allen going against the LA Chargers. The Chargers give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. They just gave up 28 points to the worst team in football, who are
the worst.
That's right.
I'm sorry. It's pronounced the Jets.
Oh, gosh darn it. I
was getting confused.
But yeah, 28 points to the Jets. So I don't think the Chargers are really going to be stopping anybody here in the future, especially against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Allen has back-to-back top 4 finishes, and that's 2nd in week 9 and 4th in week 10. They were on a bye in week 11. So coming out of the bye should be a little healthier on some of his weapons. He's got a solid rushing floor. Great options, like I just mentioned. This should be a shootout. I'm looking for a big game out of Josh Allen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, let's move on here to our streamers, affectionately called Streamies. And guys, it's really thin on the waiver wire. So these are some down the list options. Don't run out there and grab these guys. These are fill-in options. These are guys you're hoping sneak into the top 12 at the position that you're picking them up for. That's your hope. Yep. Don't rely on that. We're hoping that you guys are looking at this as okay, this guy is going to provide a good baseline, or he's going to fill in a spot that I need it, that kind of thing. So QB that we've got way down the board, we're looking at Daniel Jones, and he is going against the Cincinnati Bengals, 32% rostered presently. So he is available in most leagues. That's a good sign, or it's a good thing. It's not a good sign. But it's not a huge week for streamers unless you had a QB injured because all the teams are playing. There's no teams on bye. So really the only reason you need to go out there and pick up a QB to start, we imagine, is because you have a player who got injured. You have Joe Burrow, or you had, I don't even know at this point, just Teddy Bridgewater. Well, Bridgewater's back. Tua, maybe, I think Tua's still going to play. There's conflicting stories about why he was pulled. Flores, right after the game, said he was pulled because they thought that Fitzpatrick would provide a spark. And then news was saying that he got rolled up on his ankle or his foot, or like, it's just like, I think it was a bit of, let's prop the kid's ego up because we realize we have a really great matchup for him this week. So let's let him go and build his ego back up here.
Right.
But anyway, Daniel Jones should be a decent fill-in. He is an option if you have to race to the waiver wire right now to provide some protection. If you have Big Ben or Lamar Jackson, you need to make sure you have a backup QB sitting on your roster or in mind on the waiver wire. You better have several in that case.
Yeah.
So this is a good spot here at a position that is getting thin due to all of the injuries, as well as the approaching fantasy football playoffs, because people are starting to stack or store players for the playoffs. While QB is only, while he's the only a middle of the road opportunity here against Cincinnati, the wide receiver and the tight end are getting a ton of points against Cincinnati. And so I think some of that's got to kind of rub off on the QB position, which provides a decent enough baseline with a guy who's got a decent upside as well with his arm. His accuracy isn't good, but
he's got a decent upside on his rushing floor as well,
he
man.
does. He does.
As long as he doesn't trip over his own feet.
There is that. Yeah. Turf monster, 60 yards into the run. So I like Daniel Jones this week for the purpose of filling in if you have a problem. I don't like him as a guy to run out there and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna win this week by picking him. Avoid that. All right, who do you have at tight end?
Tight end, Robert Tonyan. Now, we're looking at this as kind of how we do our waiver wire episodes, and that's 60% or under rostered. So Robert Tonyan is still underneath that at 53%. So it's still somewhat likely that he's available out there. So definitely gobble him up if you can. You see how I did that? Gobble. Yeah, you like that?
I just want to say, I understand that he says his name is pronounced Tonyan, right?
I know,
but I have seen several interviews in which Aaron Rodgers continues to call him Robert Tonyan.
Or Bobby.
He calls him Bobby. Yeah, Big Bob, Bobby T.
Yeah.
But he calls him Tonyan, or not Tonyan still. But he also calls David Bakhtiari Takatari. So
right. So I don't know if that's the one where it's like, okay, whatever A-Rod calls me, that's what we're gonna go with.
Yeah.
But you know what? It might be smart to do that, truthfully, if you want to keep getting the ball. But the Packers are going against the Chicago Bears, so a tough defense. But when it comes to the tight end position, the Bears are actually allowed the 10th most points to tight ends this season. So if there's going to be a weakness and if there's going to be a path to victory for the Green Bay Packers, it could very, very likely be in that tight end position. Yeah. So otherwise,
especially with the downfield threat guys like that,
exactly.
And Jace Sternberger, who's less reliable.
Yeah. And then, when it comes to the Colts game, Aaron Rodgers after the game, he mentioned that, he missed Tonyan in the end zone for a wide open touchdown on the last offensive play of regulation against the Colts. So are we going to see some level of makeup for that? I mean, I'm sure A-Rod's kicking himself in the butt right now. I mean, he's his hardest critic.
He's brought it up several times. I've seen
several times. I know he did it on
times.
Pat McAfee's show as well during this week, during their Tuesday episode. So I get it, man. I think if they are going to move the ball down the field, I think it's going to be Mr. Bobby Tonyan.
Bobby T.
What do you have for a defense streamer?
I've got the Giants. Look, this is really close here, guys. I apologize. They're 59% rostered. They're going against Cincinnati. You got to like that for a number of reasons. My first inclination was, hey, Cleveland, but they're actually over 60% rostered finally. And I hope you grabbed Cleveland. As we told you, they've got a cake playoff matchup schedule. So that's a pretty good situation. But without Burrow, Cincinnati's going to struggle to find much of anything on the offense. And then I saw something about Giovanni Bernard is now in the concussion protocol.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday. So he's not likely
That's like
to
kind of
play.
like DeAndre Swift last week.
Except I think that DeAndre Swift was one day later, right? The news came out on Wednesday. No, I think it was Thursday.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Thursday because he gave interviews on Wednesday night.
Okay.
And so the protocol is a minimum of 4 days. And you can't clear it. So if you get added on Thursday, you can't make the game on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So beyond that, though, Giovanni Bernard is probably not going to be playing. So you've got Burrow out, you've got Giovanni Bernard out, and
Joe Mixon's already out.
Joe Mixon's already out. I mean, that's going to be a couple more weeks. We already know that much, but he's not, I think, likely to play in the playoffs, fantasy playoffs. I think it's really slim chance. So anyway, the Giants, there's still kind of a dart throw here, guys. This is a highly rostered defense, but beyond that, they haven't really truly backed up the opportunities that they've been given against the lowly NFC East that they have been playing. And so I think that this is not the greatest, but it is something that can fill in. The reason that I like them is because they can have the chance to capitalize on a really bad offensive line with a guy who's not normally out there, taking snaps, with a guy who's not normally out there getting the ball handed off to him. So you're going to have a lot of errant throws. You're going to have a lot of rushed throws. You're going to have a lot of sacks potentially. So you've got chances for fumbles. You've got chances for interceptions. You might just get lucky. And that's kind of what you're looking
Bengals
at.
already gave up on Ryan Finley. They're bringing someone up from the practice squad, Brandon Allen.
Oh my gosh.
He started a couple of games last year. I can't remember with who. That's how memorable he was, but it was very bad. So
it was probably Carolina or something like that.
I think that was Kyle Allen, but I don't know.
Okay,
I think it was the Broncos last year.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, look, it's a chance to potentially capitalize if you got them available in your league. Why not take a shot? All right, so let's move on here to our fades of the week. These are guys who we don't necessarily believe are going to disappear or do terribly for you. We just think you got to lower your expectations.
Yep.
So let's start off here. Let's hit running back. Right off the top, a guy that this is going to break your heart, Derrick Henry. And why? Because he's going against the Colts. Okay. Now, the Colts are a tough matchup for any running back. And I understand that Derrick Henry is a different species all in his own right. Correct.
Yes.
But Tennessee had a bounce back game last week on their offense. So there's a little bit of that weighing in his favor. But he's just faced the Colts defense a couple weeks ago. He did crack the century mark. He barely did. I think he had 103 yards, but he didn't have any touchdowns to go with it, right? So I don't think that week he was in the conversation for running back one, if I remember correctly. I know that there have been several weeks where like double-digit points are going to get you running back one territory sometimes.
Right.
There have been a couple weeks like that. I mean, Dalvin Cook will put up 40 points. Everybody else is at like 10 to 18 in the running back one category.
Right.
But I think that this week, for this to really work out, he's going to have to get that touchdown for him to be in the conversation for running back one status. I really do. So I think he's more likely to finish in running back two territory. And so I'm thinking that you need to have some other upside options in your lineup who can help to lift the deficiency that he's possibly going to put up for you. I'm not saying he's going to be terrible. He's going to be startable, obviously. I just think it's going to be problematic. Justin just threw in a note here that DeForest Buckner has been added to the COVID list, not because of a positive, but because of close contact. I'm not sure of the date that he was added, but I think that if he throws like 2 or 3 negative tests in a row, they'll still clear him off the list before the game starts.
Yeah, so there's still a little bit of uncertainty going on right now with that. So it's right now. I don't think he's on the reserve COVID list where it's like 10 days of asymptomatic if he's actually positive or 14 days total. So definitely keep an eye on that. I mean, but it's still with this defense.
I mean, even without him, I think they're still strong.
Absolutely.
Run defense. So
absolutely.
All right. What do you got on wide receiver?
Allen Robinson, the second.
Yep.
The proof is what we like to affectionately call him. Well, the proof might be out on this one. So the Chicago Bears are going against Green Bay Packers. We mentioned this. So hello, Jair Alexander.
Yep.
He will most likely shadow the top Bears wide receiver, and Alexander's potentially. We've talked about this before, you and I.
Yep.
I mean, he might be potentially the best cornerback in football right now, and he's back healthy from what it looks like. So, and let's not forget the fact that good old big Richard Nick Foles is throwing him the ball, who is maybe an upgrade over Mitchell Trubisky. Actually, both are on the mend right now anyways. Whenever Foles got slammed down and hurt his hip, and Trubisky's still shoulder injury, so who knows who's going to throw him the ball.
Nick Foles cried like his career was over.
He's done that a couple times. It feels like
he did. No, like on the field, he was crying like his career was over.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it hurt. I wouldn't probably react any better than he did, but I don't get hit for a living.
Right.
Slammed to the ground for a living. Right.
Yeah.
Put some
It's
pads
just,
on before you go out there next time, bud. Okay.
it's,
Yeah.
and it's,
I mean, when
it's
I
so,
played football, I had hip pads on.
Yeah.
I wasn't stupid.
yeah, they
So,
look a little odd. Maybe that's why they're not doing it. But
oh
uh,
God,
I'm
they,
not
they,
looking
they
for.
look safe, is what they look like to me.
Yeah, Allen Robinson's probably not going to stay around after this year when it comes to the Chicago Bears because half the games that
Take the trip north, bud.
Allen
Take the
Robinson's
trip
played,
north.
man, he's been finishing outside the wide receiver 3, and his talent is too high for that.
The thought just occurred to me. It just ruminated a little bit, and it just
Oh boy,
there were sparks. It was just like,
oh boy,
Devontae Adams and Allen Robinson on the same team. Could you imagine that?
Pour some gravy on that mashed
Oh yeah,
potatoes, man.
oh
yeah.
my God, that would be great. Yeah, that's like mashed potatoes covered in scallop potatoes with a top with mac and cheese on top.
We're extra starch right here.
Yeah, it's like what did it was John Madden. That's who said it. John Madden said the Green Bay Packers having Brett Favre followed by Aaron Rodgers is like having a beer. What is it? He said he goes a bacon wrapped beer dog or a beer soaked hot dog. And he's like, it's just the best of everything. It's like, it's unfair. It's like, I don't know if I approve of that metaphor, John.
Until I've tried it.
Wrapping meat on meat. And oh no, I've had it. It's very tasty. I wouldn't. Look, as far as like stadium food goes, it's not my 101. Like it's not my 101 pick in the draft.
I gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on here. We've ruminated a lot here on this. My tight end is another guy. You know him. You kind of hate him if you have him this year. That's Mark Andrews. He's going, at Pittsburgh. Well, you didn't if you listened to us. But he's going up against Pittsburgh. And this is just an absolute terrible matchup. How terrible? How terrible, you say, Justin? Pitt allows the fewest fantasy points to the tight end position this year. And he's only managed to get near 100 yards once in the last 5 weeks. Now, granted, that was last week, but he also had only one touchdown in the last 5 weeks. Guess when that was? That was also last week. So he's been unstartable all the other weeks.
Wow.
It's been terrible. Essentially, he's been a tight end too for most of the last 5 weeks, which is in most leagues not startable unless you have multi-flex situation going on. You're not touching that with a 10-foot pole. So don't expect much from the passing game the rest of the way for this team, in my opinion. And there isn't a reliable target on the outside. The backfield is on the COVID positive list, not just the COVID list, the COVID positive list. And so he's going to be the single focus, other than a QB spy, of the defense that's already dominating the tight end in the league. They should be like, that's the one guy that they can throw to. So we'll just cover him.
Yeah.
And we'll put 2 people whose job it is to make sure you don't scroll out on the outside on us, Lamar. There we go. I mean, I think that's why they're struggling so hard on offense on that team, because they're like, well, I mean, ignore Hollywood Brown. He can't catch. And then Mark Andrews is really the only target. So we'll just double cover him and we'll double cover you. All right. So QB, what do you got?
Going back to the same game that you had as your running back fade, and I'm going Ryan Tannehill against the Indianapolis Colts. They played in Week 10, and it didn't go so well for Ryan Tannehill. He finished as the 21st best QB in fantasy, and the defense could potentially be better than it was in Week 10, even with the departure of
it's healthier.
Buckner. It is healthier besides Buckner.
I think Buckner plays.
He may. And you have, Darius Leonard is back healthy. He was out for a game or so. He's better. Kamoko Toure is a guy that was a really good pass specialist last year. He had his first game back last week and he was on a pitch count. I think that's going to increase. And that just goes right in line with the fact of this one. And we've said this before. This offense for the Tennessee Titans has become very stagnant since Taylor Lewan went down with injury. Very stagnant ever since then. You can just see all the numbers just go down. And I mean, once again, this Colts defense,
Vrabel's just going to suit up. Yeah.
He may have to. But yeah, the Colts defense, man, has very few holes back, middle,
down
the line. We're good to go.
I don't know. I think that Vrabel will just, you know what they're going to do is they're just going to go out before the game starts and he's going to challenge Frank Reich to a fight. And they're just going to be like, let's settle this using champions instead of our whole army. Vrabel will just, punch him in the mouth or something like that. Because apparently that's what you do now. I don't know.
So Vrabel is Ramsey Bolton, huh?
Dude, he's crazy. He's crazy.
That's
He
insane.
tried to fight Harbaugh. Like Harbaugh, the Titans went out and were like dancing on the Ravens insignia before the game started.
Yep.
They lost. I want to remember they lost, I think. But they did this before the game started. Yeah. And Vrabel was out there with them.
Yep.
And so Harbaugh went out. They thought, that's going to be the team. No, Harbaugh went out by himself. And Vrabel tried to fight him. That's nuts. That's not a coach. I'm sorry.
No.
So
no.
Anyway, all right, let's pick up our survivors and get on out of here. So who do you have in Survivor this week?
Oh, we've been talking about this matchup a couple times, and it's Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears matchup. The Bears are a 7.5-point underdog. Packers are coming off a tough loss in Indy, so I think they're going to be playing pretty pissed off. We've kind of talked about that. Yeah. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come out just slinging the rock. And, hey, you know what? The Bears offense is garbage. The Bears offense is garbage, and the Packers defense is improving with Jair Alexander back. So, yeah, this is going to be this is a division matchup, and, they don't take these things too lightly when it comes to Green Bay.
No.
What do you got?
You know what? I'm taking the Rams over San Francisco.
That's a good one.
San Francisco is a 7.5-point dog in this fight, and the Rams don't have to worry a whole lot about offense coming at them in this matchup. So looking pretty good. Looks like Debo's going to be back. Who? Debo! That's right, but we're guessing that he's on a pitch count if he plays. Maybe. Mostert may play as well, but probably not. I don't know. Yeah, we're going to see what's going on there. But, there's not much else to worry about. So the Rams should win this one easily enough, I think. And so that would be my survivor pick this week.
Cool.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for our top start streamers and fades. These are the guys that will win you your week or lose you your week. So pay attention. All right. Make sure that you double check the episodes that we have already uploaded this week. We've had the waiver wire episode as well as the Thursday night football episode. Remember, one of the Thursday night matchups we covered has now been moved. That's Steelers Ravens. So that will be in that video, not in any subsequent video.
Yep.
I'll throw those up onto the screen right now. Make sure you also hit subscribe as well as the bell so you're notified every time we upload the podcast, which is 5 days a week. We don't cheapen it. We don't put up some sort of big episode. We don't do that. But we'll be here all week with the opportunity for questions to get asked. So throw your questions down in the comments. We'll help you out. Thanks for being a fan of The Upside, and we will see you next time. Bye.
See ya.